The series kick off with the death of Heron. As he died, his life flashed before his eyes, and he could feel the pain, the love and guilt of everyone he crossed paths with, and he could now understand their plight. Heron remembered Zeus told him that this will happen, and as he remembered that he was no mortal, he was reborn and resurrected from the dead, more powerful than ever as he rejoined the others. But by then, it was a bit late, as Gaia had already unleashed her anger on them by releasing the Titan, Typhoon, by calling his name. For peace to reign, she ensured that everyone will be annihilated by unleashing a series of barricades so that no one will escape. This causes Hades to be buried in one of them as Persephone tries saving him. The war had begun as Typhoon arrived, unleashing a series of devastating attacks on the gods. The gods couldn't help it, as some tried to flee while others stayed to fight, but they were no match. Ares was ready to fight as his bride tried to stop him, but he felt tired of running and attacked. But the fight didn't last long as he got struck, and in a moment, he was gone as Hermes tried getting everyone to safety and for regrouping. Heron was with Gaia at the time, as he didn't understand why she would do something like this. Gaia informed him it was Zeus' will, as he believed Heron will come out of it stronger. But Gaia wasn't done, as she unleashed the furies and gods of old on those who broke their oath. It was extremely devastating. Seraphim, on the other hand, still trying to save his love from eternal unrest, swiftly flew past Heron and stole his sword, but Heron caught him on time, and a fight ensued. Heron was able to retrieve his sword as Gaia restrained Seraphim and was about to end him, when Heron intervened and pleaded on his behalf. Gaia listened and let him go. Seraphim was about to leave when Heron suggested that they go together to save his love. Demeter and Persephone were able to dig, and they found Hades buried underneath, as Persephone was glad he was still alive. But that small moment of bliss will fade as the Furies arrive, stating they will pay, and they began heading to the underworld. Hades and Persephone remembered their children and were about to save them when Typhoon attacked, but Demeter decided to hold him off while they escaped. The other gods joined forces, and they rescued prisoners, and also retreated as Typhoon began heading to the underworld through the sea. At that time, Gaia paid a visit to the legendary Cronus, who had been imprisoned for eons, and tried reasoning with him, but it only aggravated him. Meanwhile, they arrived at the underworld as Hades got in, but Persephone couldn't, because it was still spring, and no matter how hard they tried, she couldn't, and Typhoon was fast approaching. Cronus could feel the earth shaking and knew Typhoon had been unleashed, but he didn't know who released him. Gaia revealed it was her, because the Olympians have all failed and needs to be punished. Gaia could see a glimpse of the future, but believed that whatever decision Cronus made would influence the rest of it. Hades told Persephone to go and hide as Typhoon was approaching, but she refused, as she decided to hold off Typhoon in order to give him more time to save their children. Hades began heading deep into the underworld to find his children, but also watched as Persephone tries holding off the Titan. He got into his lair and took a potion and asks one of his maids for his children, as she revealed they went hunting. Hades spoke with Persephone as he told her she could leave now, but she refused, stating they need more time. He fell into a ditch while trying to find his children, but he was able to find them and began leading them to safety. Persephone was able to hold Typhoon for a while as she realized his loud banging has stopped, but unbeknownst to her, Typhoon was powering up for a heated attack, as he was able to destroy the trees she used as protection, and she was at his mercy. Persephone wasn't afraid of him or death, but Typhoon didn't really care as he struck and killed her, which shook Hades as he could see what was happening. Hades realized that the Furies were after him and his children, so he took them to a spot. He lied that their mom was okay and gave them a potion to drink, stating it would put them to sleep until he is back. They drank it and were fast asleep as he hid them in the rock and came out of hiding as the Furies captured him and brought him to Gaia, who sought to see him pay for what he had done. It turns out Typhoon was heading to the underworld to free Cronus, as he arrived at where Cronus was kept and bowed before him. Cronus came out of his prison as Typhoon freed him from his bindings, and he retrieved his sickle as they were going to unleash fury on the world. He met with his son, Hades, who was restrained. Hades was filled with fear and disbelief as Cronus made it clear that he was going to make them pay. Demeter cried over her daughter's dead body as she blames herself because Persephone wouldn't have died if she could enter the underworld. Hera arrived and tried comforting her. Hera also informed her that there is one way they could save her. That's if they can get to Zeus. Demeter happens to know where Zeus is, but she claims it won't be easy saving him, especially with Cronus, who is free. Hades watched Cronus as Cronus wanted to get to the sun in order to return to his big and powerful state. The light from the underworld might just be able to do it, and just as they were about turning the light towards Cronus, Hades freed himself and ambushed Cronus, trying to kill him, but Cronus caught him and gave him a beat down. Cronus was able to compel Hades as Hades used his weapon and turned the light towards Cronus. Cronus at that moment returned to his true state, a Titan. He was extremely powerful as he freed other Titans imprisoned as they began to take charge as one took over the underworld. Cronus was enraged as he plans not to keep prisoners as he wants to annihilate them all. Cronus asked Hades for Zeus' whereabouts, but as Hades refused to tell, Cronus took him to the abyss and threatened to toss him in. One of the furries stated that Gaia wanted no one to be tossed in there, but Cronus didn't listen as he tossed one of the underworld judges in there. It was terrifying as his body and soul was destroyed, and it was as if he never existed. Cronus asks Hades one more time for Zeus's whereabouts, but Hades refused as he didn't fear death, but Cronus had one more trick up his sleeve as he ordered that they bring the soul of Persephone, which terrified Hades even more. One of the Furies found the body of Persephone and retrieved her soul and began heading to Cronus. Demeter and Hera followed as one of the Furies arrived with souls. It was that of Ares and Hephaestus. Cronus was about throwing them into the abyss as he planned for the gods to return to their primordial form, so he had to kill all the Olympians to purify them. Ares wasn't interested in whatever game Cronus was playing as he tried attacking, but it wasn't a game as Ares couldn't feel or touch him. Cronus grabs Ares by the neck and pushes him towards the abyss, but Ares was fearless as he lay curses on Cronus, and he was thrown into the abyss. This sends shockwaves everywhere as Heron and Seraphim felt the shock in their heart, but Heron didn't know what it was. Seraphim explained it was a mortal death as he learned about it during his time in Tartarus. Heron wounds had become infected as they began moving, but he couldn't move for too long, so Seraphim took him to a secret place where only him and Gorgo knew. Heron was also able to know about it during his life and death experience. Seraphim made a potion out of a hellborn and gave him to drink, and as he drank it, it began to take effect as he couldn't breathe well and was in pain. Seraphim explained that the left side of the hellborn causes unbearable death, while the right side heals. Heron was able to heal because Seraphim gave him from the right side, and they were now even, but he still owes Gorgo. Heron wanted to help her rescue Gorgo from eternal unrest, so Seraphim told him of the necklace of Harmonia, and how he wants to steal it as he plans to bribe the Charon with it, so that he can allow Gorgo a passage into the Elysian field where the laws of the abode will protect her. Heron decides to help him with it. Meanwhile, Hephaestus was also thrown into abyss as Hades wouldn't reveal Zeus' whereabouts. Just at that moment, one of the furries arrives with the soul of Persephone as Hades rushed to embrace her. In a moment, Cronus grabbed her as he urges Hades to tell him where Zeus is, and he will spare her, but if he doesn't, he will watch as his children is torn apart. Persephone urges Hades not to tell, and just as Cronus was about tossing her in, one of the judges informed Cronus that Zeus was kept at the Great Plains of Erebus. So, Cronus began heading there, and brought Hades and Persephone along. Cronus freed one of the Titans, and gave Hades an eternal punishment, as he forces Persephone to watch, as it will cause her more anguish. Gaia appeared to Zeus, and explained to him how the Olympians have failed, and how she freed Cronus hoping that they will return to the primordial laws. She left as she hopes Zeus forgives her. But before Cronus got to Zeus, Demeter had already saved him. Cronus opened the prison where Zeus was, and was disappointed not to find him. Well, it turns out that Hera had shape-shifted as one of the judges to deceive Cronus as she revealed herself, and fled from the scene. Demeter took Zeus to a place where he was going to hide until they find a way to get him out of the underworld, and while Zeus thanks her, Hera arrived as Demeter reveals it's her he should be really thanking. Stay tuned for more episodes of Blood of Zeus Season 3 on its mythical, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching.